From optimism and a willingness to compromise to sharp criticism and a readiness to make every threat a reality, Donald Trump's attitude toward Putin has deteriorated sharply. This didn't happen right away. For many months, the Kremlin dictator showered the head of the White House with compliments, tried to be the first to congratulate him on every occasion, and offered peace in order to strengthen his friendly image in Trump's eyes. Why did this eventually stop working? Let's figure it out. In January, right after the inauguration, Trump said that he had a good relationship with Putin and was confident that a peace deal could be reached. Already in February, they had a phone conversation, which Trump called excellent and described as the start of negotiations to end Russia's war against Ukraine. Both the Kremlin dictator and Russian propaganda tried in every possible way to flatter and appease the U.S. president. For example, Putin said that after the assassination attempt on Trump in Pennsylvania, he prayed for him for a long time as if for a close person. He also commissioned a portrait of the American leader, depicting him with his fist raised right after the assassination attempt at the rally. Putin delivered his gift through Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. In addition, the Kremlin dictator showered both Trump and his wife Melania with compliments. And for a while, this tactic seemed to be effective.
Putin just said they respect your wife a lot. I said, what about me? No, they like Melania better. That wasn't good. I don't know if that was good. I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
By spring, after a series of massive Russian strikes on Ukraine, Trump drastically changed his tone. He called Putin crazy and, for the first time, publicly threatened sanctions. Moreover, officials from Trump's inner circle said that this wasn't just rhetoric for the electorate, but an emotional reaction to videos of destroyed, burning Ukrainian cities. The Western press wrote that Putin was dangerously close to burning the Golden Bridge that Trump had built for him. However, at that time, it was more of a warning. Trump was still hoping that an agreement could be reached and was giving Putin a chance.
Vladimir Putin doesn't realize that if it weren't for me, a lot of really bad things would have happened to Russia by now. And I mean really bad. He's playing with fire. Donald Trump, U.S. President on Truth Social.
After yet another phone conversation with Putin, Trump expected real steps toward a ceasefire. But that never happened. Even after the meeting in Istanbul, when the aggressor country was, in words, preparing for the next round of peace talks, in reality it was launching hundreds of missiles and attack drones at Ukraine. The Kremlin never agreed to a 30-day ceasefire, and Putin's negotiators kept making baseless and completely unfeasible demands. And all this time, Russia continued to launch combined strikes on peaceful Ukrainian cities, not stopping the terror for even a single day.
This is exactly what Putin wants, for our people to suffer, to flee Ukraine, and for homes, schools, for life itself to be destroyed everywhere, not just near the front lines. Remember, just a year ago, many people thought Russia wanted real peace, real talks, and a ceasefire. Moscow was sending those signals, and it was all part of their propaganda, trying to say that Ukraine didn't want peace. But we said back then there must be pressure on Russia because it was not preparing for peace. And now everyone sees that Putin has rejected every peace proposal and is escalating the violence.
Every wave of Russian attacks, the pressure from Congress and allies, as well as the Kremlin's sabotage of all peace initiatives, have ultimately led to the point where Trump seems to have no more illusions. And 500% tariffs on goods from countries that buy Russian oil, gas, and uranium may soon become a reality. The American press reports that the U.S. president is ready to sign a document on devastating sanctions against Russia, provided he gets more control over them.
We get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. I'm looking at it, yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passing and passed very tough sanctions. But yeah, I'm looking at it.
Experts believe that the NATO summit in The Hague also played a significant role in making Trump's attitude toward Putin tougher and more critical. The U.S. president promised to consider providing additional Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine. He took part in discussions about military procurements for Kiev through NATO. Plus, on the sidelines of the summit, he heard many calls to action from key alliance partners. It was there that he also met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The conversation lasted about an hour and was quite productive.
After half a year of White House skepticism toward Kyiv and friendliness toward Moscow, President Donald Trump and top Republicans have shifted course, with the White House preparing to send additional weaponry to Ukraine and Congress moving to enact tough new sanctions on Russia. The change this week came as Trump's frustration mounted over Russian President Vladimir Putin's unwillingness to engage seriously in discussions about an end to his war on Ukraine. Trump vowed last year that he would move quickly to halt the conflict, but has been unsuccessful. From the publication of the Washington Post,
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
At first, the Kremlin said that all of Trump's statements were due to emotional overload or that the U.S. president was poorly informed about what was happening. Then Russian propagandists called Donald Trump a figure who lacks independence and is completely dependent on those around him. And now, all the federal channels are talking about the Bidenization of Trump and yet another stab in the back. This is being said not only on Russian television screens. On the sidelines of the summit in Malaysia, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov tried to convince U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio that Moscow is being forced to respond to threats and that Kiev supposedly is incapable of making agreements. In response, Rubio once again voiced the position of the President of the United States, disappointment and frustration with the actions of the Kremlin.
Yeah, I'm not going to characterize our conversation other than to tell you that I expressed what the President has said publicly, which is that we feel as if we've dedicated a lot of time and energy to this matter and just not enough progress has been made. We need to see a roadmap moving forward about how this conflict can conclude. And then we shared some ideas about what that might look like, and obviously I'll take that back to the President here as early as this evening, and hopefully there's something that we can build on there.
Most likely, the Kremlin will come up with more tricks to drag out the peace process. But it's unlikely now that the White House administration will believe them. At the government meeting, Trump repeated again, "Putin is always very polite with us, but it's useless." As for the bill to strengthen sanctions against Russia, Congress may begin discussing it as early as this month. And that's exactly the kind of language Putin understands well, and something that could really make him negotiate for peace.